All you Boba Fett fans learning American English pronunciation, this video is for you. I've identified 5 sounds that I would recommend Boba Fett study if he wanted to speak American English, starting with
R sounds.
listen to how he says these words. Armor,
I'm here for the armor.
fathers,
My father,
yours.
companion of yours.
Now, the American English R is known for being pretty strong. The back of your tongue is going to be high, and the front of your tongue is going to curl up as well, although it doesn't necessarily have to. What a lot of teachers miss when they teach this sound, though, is
placement.
you need to project this sound from low in the throat, and you also need to have lots of air that comes through. Otherwise, you're going to end up with a sound that may sound more like versus One way you can check yourself is to hold the sound for a couple of seconds. See where you feel that vibration the heaviest. If you feel any sort of shaking or vibration in your jaw or your head area, that could be a sign that you're too tense. Again, you should really feel this vibration and movement down here. One last thing about R sounds. If you're more used to British training, you probably are removing R sounds before consonants. But in American English, remember that these R sounds need to stay. Compare these words. The first one does not have an R sound. The second one does. Top, tarp, father, farther, stock, stark. Our next sound is the O sound, like in scope.
Go.
The mistake that I often hear is that students again make the O sound a bit too tense. You don't want to hear like an O sound where you're projecting really from more the top of your throat, back of your mouth. You want to hear this really coming from low in the throat. It should be more like O. So we can compare O and O. Practice with these words here. Go home. Rowboat. Logo. Now, as you pronounce this sound, you will notice there's a little bit of movement with the vowel. You know, again, it is a diphthong, so where you start and where you end are a little bit different. It's like, oh, your mouth doesn't need to be super closed and tense at the end either. A similar problem also occurs for the
Oo sound.
For instance, in a word like you.
You.
The back of your tongue is high, the front of your tongue is down, with lots of air coming through your throat. Here are some words that you can practice with. You. Blue. Tooth. Another note for my friends who maybe started learning English with British English, you don't need to add any vowel sound before the oo sound. So for instance, a word like no, notice it goes right from that N to that oo, so it's not new, it's just no. Our last two vowels are a bit similar to each other in that they're both going to be a little bit wider with your mouth. The first one is going to be your ah sound. So for instance, like in a word like aw.
Let's all put down our weapons.
What I commonly see with this is students projecting from, again, right around here, top of the throat, right? You're blocking off too much air. When you make the ah sound, the back of your tongue does need to be high, but it doesn't need to be too high. If you find that the sound you make isn't quite right, like you're making an all versus an ah type sound, again, try lowering your tongue a little bit. You can also open your mouth a little bit wider. See if you can pronounce this ah sound with these words here. Law, caw, ba. You may also note too that even though these words are ending with an L, when you see an A and an L together, they typically make a dark L or an ah sound. Lastly, we have the ah sound. Ah, for instance, like in a word like cat. This sound is not really common in other forms of English. You may hear, for instance, Boba say the word galaxy a little bit different than me.
To the galaxy.
For this ah sound, you want to open your mouth wide. You're raising the middle of your tongue. So for instance, ah, you can't see as far into my throat because my tongue's blocking it. See if you can say these words a little bit differently from each other. We're going to compare the ah sound to the ah sound. Bog, bag, sock, sack, hot. hat. Now, if you enjoyed another series, the Squid Game, and you also enjoyed this pronunciation analysis, you may really like these videos here.